I'm gonna make two super simple, like when I say super simple, wreaths. One is probably gonna go up there, and the other one will be for my front door. Sorry, I gotta get used to looking in the lens and not the viewfinder. So this one was actually hanging on my front door for like the summer. And when I make these types of wreaths, I generally try to not hot glue everything because I do like to reuse the bases, and I switch it up from time to time. So this is kind of how it was hung on my front door, but I do want to take all of the flowers off and reuse the base. I don't remember if I hot glued any of this. It doesn't look like it. So I'm just gonna do like I said, like a super simple one. I'm not 100% sure what I want to do, but I have an idea. This one is just a plain base. I had this down my basement. I kind of always have these around. I buy them when they're on sale. That way I can just like whip up something if I feel so inclined. So basically all I'm gonna need for this wreath, and I'm doing this on my couch because I don't feel good, so I'm just gonna need a couple pipe cleaners, and I basically almost always use beige. Doesn't really matter what color you use, they're hidden. I use these for the bow that I'm gonna make. And again, I have this, I just picked this up at Hobby Lobby today. It is burlap ribbon, I guess you can call it. And this has like a sort of buffalo plaid design going on. I also should have picked up two of these. This is like cotton, and I'm super obsessed with it this year. I should have grabbed two. I only grabbed one. I might go back and get another, so I can put some on both. I might also use some of this rye that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. I don't know yet, but I think I'm gonna do the cotton on my outside wreath for now, and then I might, if I decide, I might do it on the other one. But for now, a lot of these floral arrangements come with like bendable, moldable wire inside of them. I like to use that versus, like I said, like hot gluing everything to the base. If it's for a customer, I generally will hot glue everything because they're not gonna take it apart and reuse it like I do. So I would like mold everything and then I would just tack it in place with hot glue. But for my sake, I'm not gonna do that. And something like this is actually like super easy. I always kind of lay the wreath out and kind of decide what I want to do with it. But if you can see, it's very easy to like bend to the shape of the wreath. And I actually do this when I go shopping, like in the aisle, if I'm not 100% sure of what I want to get for the wreath. Like I literally will almost put the full thing together in my shopping cart, and then if I like it, I'll just grab everything. But you can see this is like super simple, but it looks pretty. And again, I love the cotton this year. So also one thing with your wreath, you want to kind of hold it up to see where it's going to hang, because these things they're not even all the way around their circumference. So there are sides that are like thicker and they kind of look a little weird when they're hanging. So what I tend to do is find the thickest side, and that's where I generally will put all of the flowers or whatever I'm putting in the wreath, because then it gives you more of a base to work with. So I think that is where I'm going to keep everything. I did grab some of this floral wire. This is helpful for things like this where you're just going to keep everything together and you just want to tack it down. And I put it in a place where I hide it with the bow, so you'll never see it anyway. So it doesn't matter that this is green, but it's very thin, bendable wire. But I'll just use a piece of this to tack it down before I cut it, just to make sure that I'm liking. And this actually works to my benefit because the tape and stuff around it is brown, so it matches the base of the wreath anyway. But basically what I do is I kind of fish it through and secure it. And then I will twist it in the back to secure it. And I'll probably do this like 3 times in 3 different spots. So I just tacked that down 3 times, and I mean, it's not going anywhere. And my porch is covered anyway, so I don't really have to worry about the elements. And also, like, this is the end of the bundle, so these are all still bundled together, and you can't even really tell. Also, I'm gonna cover part of it with the bow anyway, so. This is like, I don't know, super easy, super like rustic-y. I'm loving the cotton again. So onto the bow, I'll kind of let that sit here. And I just do super simple bows. The burlap's actually really easy to work with. So the first thing I do is just kind of decide how big of a bow I want. And this is 6-inch wide, no, 5.5-inch wide ribbon. So I think it'll go well together. So, I mean, there are a couple different bow styles that you can do, but the ones that I find best that work with the burlap is Just like a super simple one. So I just take it, I lay it out, and then I fold it over on itself. Depending how big you want the bow to be would be how much you fold over. So I don't want like a super overwhelming bow for this. So I'm thinking like I'll kind of start with this size, but then you're gonna take this portion and you're gonna bunch it in half. So you kind of, if you want to start in the middle, and then you literally just gather it together, and you can see that it's already forming a bow. Again, a super simple bow, but you can then I kind of like prop it up, and so I think that's a little too big for what I'm wanting. So I'm gonna draw it back a little bit, and I think that's better. So once you have the size that you like, you can lay it back out, and then you just cut along the line that you folded over, and then you're left with your piece that you're going to use. So what I do with this one is I take it and then I fold each side into the middle, kind of overlap it a little bit. And then I bunch that in the middle. It's the same effect, it just doesn't leave one side of the bow open. And then you can do kind of one last check. And again, the reason that I like to use pipe cleaners and the thin floral wire is because if you don't like the way that it comes out, you can just undo it. So at this point, I would just take a pipe cleaner and wrap it around through to the back. Make sure that you get the little pieces back here that overlap, because if you miss those, the bow will fall apart. And then I just take them and twist them fairly tight, twist it around a few times, and then you're kind of able to manipulate your bow and fluff it out. And then it kind of gives you like a little handle to hold on to as well, so you can reposition it and fluff it out. So that's kind of what you're left with. And we will cover the middle part, but then you can kind of get an idea if you leave it on there. And we will create little streamers, I guess you call it. Kind of decide how long you want them. So basically we're just going to take a piece and cut it down the middle, and then that'll split off into two pieces, and that's what will be our little streamer pieces. So this doesn't have to be precise, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 blocks on here, so we'll kind of do like 2.5, and then 2.5. So we'll kind of cut in the middle, and you don't want to cut all the way through, like you don't want to completely separate them. This is just like a little trick. You cut kind of almost up to the top, but don't completely separate them. It gives the bow something to hold on to. And then with these, if you want the fancy little like diagonal cuts. If you want it to meet at a V on the ends, you can do that. I think I'm gonna want these to meet as a V. So you take the one side and you fold the two ends in so that it looks like that. And then depending how far in you want your V to go, that'll be how much of an angle you cut on. So you'll start from the bottom here, and then you'll cut in towards your thumb. So we'll kind of start here, and then you cut in, and then you're left with the cute little V. And then to match it up to the other side, you just do the same thing. You can use this piece as like a template or a guide if you want. You kind of just place it over top. But after you do it a few times, you'll kind of have an idea of what you're doing. Voila. So we have two little cute V's that will stick out. So I leave the pipe cleaner this long basically the whole time because this is what I'm going to use to wrap it around the wreath. But also it helps you because you can layer things. For instance, you can layer your little ribbon legs. So you see, now we have a cute little bow. And what I do is I take these pieces and then I kind of gather them so that they bend a little bit and they're not completely, they don't just look like two straight pieces hanging out if you gather them a little bit. And then it's pretty helpful to have this piece in the back because then you'll be able to mess with it at the end. So if you have enough of these little pieces left over, you could use those. I kind of roll it up and you could use those to cover it, but generally it's not enough. So what I would do is take one of the stitched edges of the ribbon I would cut a few inches. I don't know, maybe 6-7 inches. And we're going to use that to cover the pipe cleaner. So basically, you just take this and you go around. And then when you get to the back, if you separate the pipe cleaner and lay the pieces through the pipe cleaner, then you can just close the pipe cleaner around it. And if you leave a little bit of room, you'll be able to fluff it out. So again, I haven't used any hot glue or anything, and almost have a full wreath put together. So if you don't want it to look super tight, you could like fluff it out a little bit. I don't mind. And then I'll just trim off the excess pieces in the back. And there's your bow. So now I'm gonna attach it to the wreath. And I still have plenty of pipe cleaner in the back. there's the first one. I'm gonna take you guys outside and show you how I'm gonna put my porch together, kind of preliminarily. I have my rug and I'll hang the wreath and then see what I think. My mom said that I shouldn't buy mums until like October to put outside, so I'll have to figure something out in the meantime, but I'll take you guys outside. Also, I think my battery might die soon, so we'll see.